What's up, everybody? Out here at the track for a speed workout. Now this is my third workout in a row, so similar to my last video where I went sprint, lift, sprint, I did the same thing this week. So the first day of this little 3-day microcycle, I came out and I did a mixture of 50s and 70s. I think I did 5 by 20 meters on the Exergenie, then I did 6 by 50 meters, and then I finished with 2 by 70 meters. On the 70s, I was a 0.02 off my best, but I noticed there was a huge difference in how I performed simply based on my mentality. Like throughout most of the workout, I didn't expect much. Didn't feel that fast. But on the last rep, I was like, okay, slap yourself out of this. We gotta get one good rep. And so for my last rep of the day, I ran, within 200ths of my best 70. So that was nice to see. And I ran 693 to 60. Then yesterday I went to the gym. I did that similar routine that I did last time with the pin squats, the drop squats on the hack squat machine, bench press up to 275, some hops, things like that. I also did some isometric calf work. So I didn't expect to come out today because I figured I'd be pretty sore. When I woke up, I was really stiff, like my tendons were stiff and everything. But as I moved around, woke up, did some work, I was able to feel pretty good. So I decided to come out to the track. Now it's like 107 degrees out right now, so it is pretty warm. But I thought today's probably a good day to do some low volume speed work. So I set up a 30-meter fly. I ran my first one and it didn't catch all the times, but I did see, I wasn't trying very hard, and I was running faster than 1 second over each 10-meter segment, so I knew I had something good in the tank. Ran another one, and then on my third one, I ended up running 283, which is my second fastest ever. My fastest ever was 281, and when I ran that, it was really windy. So today, with less wind, to run 283, I think is a pretty good sign, especially considering I do have a little fatigue. Now, it does make me wonder, do I do better with a little bit of a potentiation session the day before? Obviously, it's risky if you start stacking high-intensity training day after day and you get really dense with high-intensity training. But I think this does speak to the fact that maybe there's something that I can benefit from doing prior to a race, whether that just be go do bench press or do 2 sets of the pin squat jumps or something like that. Because to come out and run 283 today when I wasn't expecting much of anything, I think is a pretty good sign. How did I feel when I was running? Well, I felt really quick off the ground. I felt like I was having pretty short ground contact times, really bouncy, and maybe that's a result of being a little bit stiffer today in my lower legs because I did those isos, some hops, the hack squat drops, all that stuff. So maybe there's something going on there that helped me. But anyways, I'm happy to report I ran 283 in a fly 30. Now my blocks still aren't quite, what I know I'm capable of. I ran 295 to 20 today. So, I still got to figure something out there if I really want to put together a good solid race. But anyways, I'm glad to see my speed is coming back online because it's been months since I've been able to get even close to this. So I'm really happy about that. Now, one thing I noticed, which was kind of interesting in my lifting, I think this is my third time doing this similar type of workout. And when I was looking at, say, the higher loads in the pin squat jumps, like 225, 275, I was either the same or a little bit slower in my mean propulsive velocity, which is the velocity that you reach throughout the acceleration phase of the movement. But when I looked at 135, the lowest weight, or the second lowest weight that I used other than the bar, I was actually much faster as far as what velocity I was hitting in the mean propulsive velocity, or the movement, mean propulsive velocity, but also my velocity at 100 milliseconds, which is something that I think is really important. I've taken that from Rolf Oman and Randy Huntington to analyze my lifts based off of that metric. But I noticed that my rate of force development, my peak velocity at 100 milliseconds, and my mean propulsive velocity were all higher at 135. And I think this is something to consider. If you're measuring your lifts, if you're doing something that's like a heavy power movement and you're seeing better outputs there, that's all well and good. But I think where we're going to see the most transfer to sprinting is seeing improvements in that lower load zone, because it's pretty hard to move a lightweight fast. When we sprint, we're moving our body weight as fast as we can. So if we're trying to see some transfer from the gym to the track, then I think it's important that we look at what are the metrics that we're seeing in those lighter loads. It doesn't mean we're only going to train those lighter loads or that those are going to even be the bulk of our training. If you look at the volume that I've done over this past few lifting sessions, most of the volume I did was 185, 225, 275, like those higher, not that they're super heavy, but relative to what I was doing, mostly what I was doing was higher load movements. But where I saw the benefit was not in those higher load movements, it was in the lower load movement. And to me, that's more relevant for sprinting. You know, if you're able to be in a quarter squat position and jump really fast off the ground with 135 pounds, which is, you know, 170% system mass. If you take my body weight plus that weight, it's 170% of my body weight. You know, that makes more sense to me as something that's going to benefit you on the track than if you moved 400 pounds faster. Maybe in your off season, you're going to chase those bigger numbers and try to see some movement there so that when you drop down to focusing on lighter weight, you can, you know, have a bigger base to be building off of. But one thing that I've experienced when I've done a lot of like heavy power training, I guess you could call it, or strength speed or speed strength work, is that I'll get better at that, but I won't really see a transfer to the start. I won't really see a transfer to top speed. And I think the reason is because it just takes too long to generate force, and that stuff might be more foundational to your ability to produce force. So I'm not saying it's not worthwhile doing. But if you're trying to peak for a race, I would rather see improvement in the lighter load zones because that's closer to moving our body weight fast. And if we can improve moving with a little bit more weight than our body weight, we're probably going to have a better chance of seeing some improvement on the track. So, you know, if you do a lift like these lifts that I've been talking about, like I said before, don't expect to get stronger. Don't expect this to be what you should do if you're new to training, have a young training age or something like that. But if you're at the end of your season and you're trying to peak for your last couple meets, then doing things like those pin squat jumps, the hack squat drops are good because you're not going to get very sore. You can work on producing force very rapidly. You can work on reversing loads really rapidly. And ultimately, that's what we need to have in order to run fast. We need to be able to produce really high rates of force development, and we need to be able to get off and on the ground quickly, have our legs hit end range motion and reverse back very quickly, and have that stretch shortening cycle be on point. So if you've been doing a lot of heavy power training, that's fine, but remember, when you're going into a meet, that's when you probably want to get rid of some of that stuff and focus more on how can you improve moving light weights fast. And I think if we can see ourselves moving lighter weights faster close to competition, we're probably going to be better set up to run fast. So just to recap, previously in this week, I did 5 by 20 meters with the Exergenie, 6 by 50, then 2 by 70. Then I went to the gym the next day. I did the pin squat jumps, hack squat drops. I did bench press up to 275. I did iso calf, and I did some resisted treadmill work. Then today I came out. I did 3 flying 30s. I did 160. It was not very good. I ran a 20, and then I did one more 60, and I ran 693 again, same time I ran last week. I'm sure if I ran a 60 on that one rep where I ran 283, I probably would have run a faster 60, probably would have been in the 2.8s, but I don't know if the fly 30 would have been as fast. So, you know, everything's kind of a trade-off. So since today I was really just trying to hit a fast rep, and that was my main goal, I kept the session just to 6 sprints, focused mainly on upright sprinting, and then now, between now and the meet, I'm going to try to, you know, hone those block starts in, maybe hit one more speed session, and that should be about it. Maybe one more lifting session. But that's where I'm at right now. So interested to hear what you guys think about this, what you think might have caused that faster, you know, flying 30 time, what you think about this workout setup that I've been doing, the ideas about how maybe trying to target improvements in those lighter loads might be the way to go. It doesn't mean we only use lighter loads. You could use 225 to try to improve your 135. But the thing that we track, maybe the thing that we track should be those lighter loads, and that could give us a better insight into what's going to transfer to the track versus something that's on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, moving a heavy weight.